Recently, news came out based on a Reddit post that a user seemed to have lost 4 BTC on Lightning Network. This was about $30,000 worth of Bitcoin. First thing that would come to mind, is Lightning Network even safe to use? How did it all happen, and is there reason to worry? In this video, we will look for answers. Hello, Adriaan here for Bitcoin for Beginners. In this series, What's Up with Bitcoin, we will talk about all things Bitcoin and the latest news. In this first episode of Season 1, the lost 4 BTC on Lightning Network, this will be our discussion. To better understand the topic of this video, or if you do not know very well what Lightning Network is, I suggest to watch our explainer Lightning Network for Dummies first, which we will link at the end of this video and in the description. In reality, we should realize even Bitcoin itself is still in an experimental phase. Let alone the Lightning Network, which only launched just last year, it is still very much experimental. That is why the use of Lightning Network comes with various risk disclaimers. It does work fairly decent, but bugs or vulnerabilities can still be and have been discovered. This poses a very potential risk of losing funds on Lightning Network. It is also not so beginner friendly yet and mostly more suitable for more tech savvy users. Applicable procedures need to be followed strictly or a user might be at risk of loss. Lightning Network is specifically designed for transacting small amounts off-chain, so its model for security versus speed and fees has some trade-offs accordingly compared to on-chain transactions, especially in the current state of development. In this video, we will explore how the 4 BTC were lost, or if they were even lost at all. But first, before we continue, if you like the content of this series, you can like this video and additionally subscribe to our channel to be updated when we release the other episodes of this series. So in Lightning Network, a node can open payment channels with many other users that can be used to frequently transact and route others' payments as well. A Lightning node needs to stay online 24/7. The so-called channel state can be very dynamic and balances can be changing constantly as payments are done within the channel or go through the channel. Both parties in the payment channel are supposed to hold a copy of the latest channel state, signed by both users with their digital signature. The channel state is in fact the balance between both users within the channel. Backups of the history of the channel states can be made to be able to restore the node in case it crashes. If the node is offline for some time, an older backup of the user would show an older latest channel state, while at the same time the counterparty's node is up to date. Normally this would not form a problem because nodes should be able to synchronize to the latest channel state. But if you do come back online with your node in an older state and try to force close, which is closing the channel without consent of the counterparty node, the Lightning Network will view that as a double spend attempt. And there is a penalty for such breach, otherwise nodes could cheat their way and attempt to technically steal funds. The penalty is a time lock of funds in the channel where the counterparty may sweep the balance of the forced closing user of that channel. Note that this is actually a security feature and not a bug or vulnerability. Force closing a channel with an invalid state is a violation and big no-no on the Lightning Network, so users should be really careful about that. The correct ways to close a channel without a penalty are closing with the consent of the counterparty, or force close without consent, but then the channel states must match, otherwise the penalty will be incurred. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to drop them in the comments. Now, what did the Reddit poster claim had happened when he lost the 4 Bitcoin? The OP was running a Lightning node with about 400 channels open with a total of 4 BTC on it. The node suffered electricity outage and went offline for a few days. He then tried to restart the node and sync it with the help of a static backup, which evidently was also a few days old. He then claims the node was acting buggy and could not sync to the latest channel state. Next thing, he decided to force close all his open 400 channels with the other nodes. He then got stuck and started a conversation with developers seeking help, asking how he could recover and posted it on Reddit. Developers confirmed, however, that this course of action leads to permanent loss because the breach, caused by the invalid force close, leads automatically to the counterparty node sweeping the time-locked funds. Upon which he said that would mean that he just lost 4 BTC and was left confused trying to figure it all out. A few days later, in this other Reddit post, some further developments were discussed. Apparently, after further investigation into the matter, it appeared that the user indeed may not have access to his 4 BTC anymore, but for a different reason than he thought and was concluded initially. And that the funds could likely still be recovered by other actions with some technical help and by practicing more patience than was exercised before. They also found that no breaches had happened in all checked affected channels during the apparent time frame. Force closures that had occurred were not on the side of the OP. But that is still not the end of the story, because shortly after, this article was published by the Bitcoinist, stating that the community has become suspicious of the claim about the 4 BTC lost funds by the OP. Many are of the opinion that the loss was caused by extreme user recklessness for knowingly or unknowingly violating procedures and crashing through multiple safety barriers, and certainly not caused by any shortcomings of Lightning Network. Another suspicion is that the user had merely staged the event to spread FUD about Lightning Network, perhaps from the Bitcoin Cash camp to smear Bitcoin BTC's second layer development. And there was even doubt if it happened at all, as OP's apparent calmness about losing 30,000 of Bitcoin raised eyebrows about the truthfulness of the claims. So, as final recommendations for Lightning Network users following this story, be extra careful when using Lightning Network and especially when performing other than standard actions. Don't be reckless and be patient, ask for help first. Use Lightning Network only with small amounts, as that is what it is supposed to be used for, and that you are willing to lose those funds in the worst case. Acknowledge that this technology is still very experimental. And also, don't try to force close channels if your channel state is invalid. Lightning Network can become a great technology on top of Bitcoin, and it is now also fine to use generally, but keep all precautions in mind and be a responsible user. For beginners, it is better to avoid messing with Lightning Network until you have a certain level of experience, and only when you feel comfortable with all the basic Bitcoin functionalities. If you are a beginner but still would like to carefully explore the basics of Lightning Network, there is at least one beginner-friendly option, which is the Casa node. It's a very easy plug-and-play device for running a Lightning node. It does, however, come with a heavy price tag of $300. The convenience costs a little extra money. So what are your thoughts? Do you think the user genuinely made those mistakes, and do you think it's his own fault for being reckless, or the fault of the Lightning Network allowing for these things to happen maybe too easily? Or do you believe the OP was only trying to spread FUD? Let us know in the comments. Also check out our Lightning Network explainer video that is displayed on the screen. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a like. If you want to see more episodes of this series, please subscribe to our channel for all updates. Hope to see you soon for the next episode. Take care, and remember, never invest more than you can afford to lose.